Good morning and welcome to a Facebook Live with the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut. We're here this morning on the Indian Rock Nature Preserve. In the background here we have our education farm where we've got a variety of farm animals, a pig, chickens, turkeys, sheep, and a cow for all types of educational purposes. But in the front of me where I am this morning up on top of the hill is the Yarde's apple orchard. And even though it's kind of a gloomy day, rainy day out today on this Tuesday, our apple orchard is certainly showing off the sights, and in the background we have the sounds of spring, so we have lots of activity going on in the Yarde's apple orchard. In this apple orchard we have just about 100 trees, a couple, a dozen or so different varieties of apples, so not all the apple trees are the same type of apple. But now that we're making our way well into spring, our apple trees are in blossom, so we have apple blossoms on the tree. So in early spring, the trees will start to bud out with their leaves. As the temperature is getting warmer, our tree is going to start to kind of wake up from their winter dormancy. Right, sugars are going to start to flow up the tree again, up the trunk to the leaves for growth. And then we start to have buds for our flowers, and just about within the last week or so, the flowers have really started to pop out. And these flowers play a very big role, because once these flowers become pollinated, we're going to get apples from these flowers. And our apple orchard tends to kind of alternate years in the amount of apples it produces. So hopefully this year we kind of stay strong with the amount of resources that the tree has. Lots of water. We kind of had a dry season last year. So hopefully come fall we will have loads of apples, and we do use the apples for school programs. So these apple blossoms are visited by pollinators, and pollinators, a lot of people think pollinators are bees, which bees are absolutely pollinators, but they are not the only pollinators. We can have spiders as pollinators, so loads of different insects can be pollinators to beetles, flies. We've got spiders that can be pollinators. Anything that's going to be visiting a flower is a pollinator, so sometimes birds. And what those animals are doing, if we think of bees, for example, our bees are visiting the flowers. They're looking to collect the nectar in the flower. They're going to use that nectar, chew it down, which will eventually become honey. And we do have, on the side of our orchard, we do have a honeybee hive. So we welcome the bees in our orchard. But they're collecting nectar from the flowers, which is their food source. But as they're collecting the nectar, we see some apple blossoms that really haven't come out yet. But as they're collecting the nectar in the flower, they're getting pollen all over their little body. And when they fly flower to flower to flower, they're spreading the pollen. They're spreading the pollen all around. And we have our honeybees, but we also have native bees. We had a bumblebee, a nice group of bumblebees in the orchard yesterday, collecting nectar, spreading pollen. So you can actually kind of scroll down on our Facebook page and see a video of a bumblebee hard at work spreading around pollen while it's collecting nectar. And our apple blossoms here, they're really kind of light in color, but there is variety to our apple blossoms, because if we turn around, this is another apple tree. This is our crab apple tree that we have here in the orchard, but we can see the flowers, the apple blossoms, are much more of a vibrant, bright pink. So the apple blossoms can kind of range in colors from our nice kind of white, pale pink to very vibrant, strong pink. But it's an apple tree all the same. Thanks for sticking with us as we're out in the orchard. Doesn't have the best internet connection, so thanks for sticking with us as we kind of make our way through. Other kind of frequent visitors of the orchard we have. Oh, we got a little bee over here. Let's see if we can get a little closer to that bumblebee. So the rain doesn't keep away the bumblebees. If it's downpouring, they'll stay kind of in their shelter, but it's not really raining right now, just a little gloomy and misty. Other frequent visitors we have in the Yarde's apple orchard, we have loads of robins, mourning doves, and the eastern bluebird. It's kind of those are all kind of frequent birds that utilize the apple orchard here. So these apple blossoms will not be on the tree that much longer. They will go away for quite some time, and then summer the trees will just be covered in leaves. And then come fall, our apples will start to grow. And there is maintenance that we have to do with our apple orchard. In the winter time, coming out of in late winter, we will prune the apple trees. And that kind of ensures that there's good growth for the next season. So you can kind of see where smaller bits of the branches have been cut in past years. So that just kind of allows the tree to have a lot of focused new growth on those apples. So our Yarde's apple orchard here, certainly a good sign that spring is well on its way. We do have coming up an event in later May, Saturday, May 22nd. We are debuting the reopening of the Barnes Nature Center. So the Barnes Nature Center right now, the trails are open sunrise to sunset 7 days a week, but the building has been closed for quite some time. But we are reopening Saturday, May 22nd, and we're kind of opening back up the building with our spring fair. You can check out more information on our website, elcct.org. Here's another section of the orchard. So we do plant our trees in nice little rows. And like I mentioned before, we have about 100 trees and a dozen or so different varieties of apples. So apples growing here, we do have Granny Smiths, Island Greens, Macintosh, Northern Spies, Jersey Blacks. We have quite a different variety. Golden Delicious. So we've got to keep our fingers crossed that we have a good kind of rainy summer. We'll allow lots of apples to grow for the fall. But that's our little spot this morning on the Yarde's apple orchard. We've got our sights and sounds as we're making our way through spring here on the Indian Rock Nature Preserve. And of course, make sure to visit our website, the elcct.org, to learn about our spring fair coming up on Saturday, May 22nd, where we'll be at the Barnes Nature Center reopening the building. But thanks for joining me today for a little spot on the Yarde's apple orchard. We'll be back on Thursday on the Environmental Learning Centers of Connecticut Facebook page at 10 a.m. to look at a little bit more of the sights and sounds of spring here on the Indian Rock Nature Preserve.